The stars looked the same as they always did. Lieutenant Borayun sat at her station on the bridge of the TCS Goliath, watching the endless darkness of space through the massive view screens. She had been staring at these same stars for 3 months now. The Deep Space Survey mission was supposed to be routine. Find interesting planets, scan them, move on. Nothing exciting ever happened out here. But then her screen flickered. Bora leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. The numbers on her display made no sense. Energy readings that should not exist. Heat signatures that violated the laws of physics she had learned in the academy. She ran the scan again, thinking her equipment was broken. The results came back identical. "Admiral Kim," she said, her voice steady despite the confusion in her mind. "I have something strange on sensors." Admiral Tae-young Kim stood from his command chair. At 52 years old, he had seen many strange things in his career, but the look on Bora's face told him this was different. He walked to her station, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. "Show me," he said calmly. Bora pulled up the readings on the main screen. The entire bridge crew turned to look. Captain Hana Park, the ship's second in command, stood up from her chair. Commander Daewon Choi, who controlled all the ship's weapons, moved closer to get a better view. "That is impossible," Park said quietly. "Those energy levels would require a star." "There is no star in that direction," Bora replied. "Just empty space. But the readings are definitely there." Admiral Kim studied the data for a long moment. Every instinct told him to report this to Earth and wait for orders. But Earth was 6 months away by faster-than-light travel. If this was something important, waiting a year for instructions seemed wrong. "Set course for the anomaly," he ordered. "But keep our shields up and weapons ready. We do not know what we are dealing with." The Goliath turned slowly through space. The ship was 3 kilometers long, the largest warship humanity had ever built. Its weapons could destroy entire cities. Its shields could withstand the heat of a sun. Yet as it moved toward the strange readings, everyone on the bridge felt very small. Hours passed. The closer they got, the stranger everything became. Dr. Ji-woo Shin, the ship's chief scientist, came to the bridge carrying a data pad. Her face showed both excitement and worry. "Admiral, I have been analyzing the space around us," she said. "Something is wrong with physics itself. Gravity is behaving strangely. Light is bending in ways it should not. It is like someone has changed the rules of the universe in this area." "Changed them how?" Kim asked. "I do not know, but it is deliberate. This is not natural. Someone made this." The words hung in the air. Made. That meant intelligence. That meant something other than humans was out here. Commander Choi immediately went to his weapons station and began charging the main guns. Park gave him a warning look but said nothing. Being careful was smart. Finally, after 6 more hours of travel, they saw it. The view screen lit up with an image that made everyone stop breathing. A structure floated in space ahead of them. No, not a structure, a city. A massive city built around what looked like a captured star. Hundreds of ships moved around it, each one a different shape and size. None of them looked anything like human designs. "My God," Park whispered. Bora's hand shook as she worked her controls. "Admiral, I am detecting thousands of communication signals. Different frequencies, different patterns. It is like everyone out there is talking at once." Dr. Shin rushed to a nearby console, her fingers flying across the controls. "These are not human languages. These are not human signals at all. Admiral, we have found them. We have found aliens. Not one species, dozens, maybe hundreds." Kim felt his heart pounding. Humanity had searched for alien life for centuries. They had found nothing. Empty planets, dead rocks. They thought they were alone. But they were wrong. Very wrong. "Chief Engineer Lee," Kim called into his communication device. "What is the status of our ship?" Soo Jin Lee's voice came back immediately from the engineering deck. "All systems are functioning, Admiral. But something is scanning us. Very sophisticated technology. More advanced than anything we have. Can you block it?" "No, sir. Whatever is scanning us goes right through our shields like they are not even there." Choi spoke up, his voice tight with tension. "Admiral, recommend we arm all weapons and prepare for combat. They know we are here." Kim shook his head slowly. "If they wanted to destroy us, they probably could have done it already. Arming weapons might be seen as hostile, or it might be seen as strength," Choi argued. "We cannot show weakness." Before Kim could respond, every screen on the bridge changed. The star charts disappeared. The sensor readings vanished. Instead, text appeared. English text: "Greetings, humans of Earth. Welcome to the Convergence Zone. We have been expecting you." The bridge went silent. They could read it. Whatever was out there could write in English, which meant they had been studying humanity, learning their language, watching them. Park moved to stand beside Kim. "They have known about us. All this time they have known," Kim nodded slowly. "The question is, why did not they make contact before now?" More text appeared on the screens. "Please lower your weapons systems. The Convergence Zone is a place of peace. Violence is not permitted here. An ambassador will arrive shortly to speak with you." Choi looked at Kim urgently. "Sir, our weapons are already armed because of my earlier order. If I lower them now, we will be defenseless," Kim thought carefully. This was the most important decision of his life. Maybe the most important decision in human history. "Show trust or show strength. Power down all weapons," he said firmly. "But keep the shields up. We will show we come in peace, but we will not be completely vulnerable." Choi hesitated, then obeyed. The weapon systems went dark. Minutes passed like hours. Then Bora called out, "Admiral, something is approaching. Small vessel, moving fast." On the screen, they watched as a sleek ship moved toward them. It was beautiful, made of materials that seemed to glow with their own light. It stopped 100 meters from the Goliath. Then a voice spoke. Not through text this time, but actual sound. The voice was strange, musical, like wind chimes speaking words. "I am Ambassador Quirath of the Luminary Federation. On behalf of the Convergence Council, I officially greet humanity. Your arrival has been noted by many. You have brought an impressive warship to our peaceful meeting ground. This has caused some concern." Kim stepped forward, speaking clearly. "This is Admiral Tae-young Kim of the Terran colonial ship Goliath, representing Earth and humanity. We came here by accident. We did not know this place existed." There was a pause. Then Quirath spoke again, and this time there was something like amusement in the musical voice. "Yes, Admiral Kim, we know. Humans have a talent for stumbling into situations unprepared. We have been watching your species for quite some time. Your radio signals have been reaching us for over 100 of your years. We know much about you." Dr. Shin grabbed Kim's arm. "Admiral, they have been listening to us for a century. They know everything about human history. Our wars, our conflicts, everything." Kim felt cold. What had humanity broadcast to the stars? News of wars, entertainment showing violence, the worst parts of human nature sent out into space for anyone to hear. "If you have been watching us," Kim said carefully, "why did you not make contact?" Another pause. When Quirath answered, the musical voice was serious. "Because, Admiral, we needed to see if humanity would destroy itself before reaching the stars. Many species do. You did not. That is why you are being given this chance. The Convergence Council wishes to meet with you. But be warned, not all species are happy about your arrival. Some see your warship as a threat. Others see opportunity. The galaxy has been waiting in silence, Admiral Kim, now that silence is broken." The meeting room on the Goliath was not designed for alien visitors. Admiral Kim watched as Ambassador Quirath entered through the airlock. The ambassador was unlike anything humans had imagined. He was made of light or something that looked like light. His form shifted and changed, sometimes solid, sometimes transparent. When he moved, colors rippled across his body like water. Captain Park stood beside Kim, trying not to stare. Dr. Shin had her recording equipment ready, documenting everything. Commander Choi remained near the door, his hand never far from his weapon. Old habits were hard to break. "Please sit," Kim said, gesturing to a chair. Quirath made a sound like soft music. "I do not require sitting, Admiral, but I appreciate the gesture. Your species values hospitality. We have learned this from your broadcasts." The ambassador floated closer, and Kim forced himself not to step back. "You mentioned a council," he said. "What exactly is the Convergence Council?" Quirath's colors shifted to cooler tones. "The Convergence Council is an assembly of civilized species. We have existed for over 10,000 of your years. Currently, 47 species hold membership. We meet here in the Convergence Zone to discuss matters that affect the galaxy. Trade, territory, peace." "And you want humanity to join?" Park asked. The ambassador's light flickered. "That is complicated, Captain Park. Some species welcome new members. Others are more cautious. And some are openly hostile to the idea of humanity joining us." "Why?" Dr. Shin asked. "What have we done to them?" "You have done nothing," Quirath replied. But your species has a violent history. Your broadcasts show constant warfare, nations destroying each other, weapons of terrible power. Some council members believe humanity is too dangerous to be allowed into galactic society. Kim felt anger rising but kept his voice calm. Every species has a violent past. Are we being judged for things our ancestors did? Yes, the ambassador said simply. That is exactly what is happening. The council must decide if humanity has evolved beyond their violent nature, or if you will bring war to the stars. The room fell silent. Choi spoke up from his position by the door. And what about our ship? You called it impressive. That sounds like a threat. Quirath turned toward the commander. The Goliath is indeed impressive, Commander Choi. It is the most powerful warship humanity has created, but compared to what exists in the galaxy, it is modest. However, the fact that you built such a vessel before making contact concerns many. It suggests you expected to find enemies among the stars. We built it to protect ourselves, Kim said. We have explored dozens of systems and found nothing. We thought we were alone. The Goliath was meant to defend Earth against unknown dangers. And now you have found those unknown dangers, the ambassador said. The question is what you will do with that knowledge. Dr. Shin stepped forward. Ambassador, you mentioned some species are hostile to us joining. Can you tell us more about them? Quirath's colors darkened. The Kroveth Empire is the most vocal opponent. They are a warrior culture. Strong, proud, and deeply traditional. They believe might determines right. Your Goliath offends them because you possess power without having proven yourselves worthy through combat. So they want to fight us? Choi asked. They want to test you, the ambassador corrected. The Kroveth respect strength. But they believe strength must be earned, not simply built. Their war commander, Thexnor, has already demanded that humanity prove themselves before being considered for membership. Park exchanged glances with Kim. Prove ourselves how? The trials, Quirath said. Ancient tests created long ago to determine if a species is ready for galactic society. 3 trials that measure wisdom, strength, and compassion. All new species must complete them, and if we refuse? Kim asked. Then you will be asked to leave the convergence zone. Your species will remain isolated, forbidden from entering territories controlled by council members. You will be alone again. The weight of the decision pressed down on Kim. He had not asked for this. His mission was to explore and survey. Now he was being forced to decide the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. How long do we have to decide? He asked. The council meets in 3 of your days. You must present your answer then, 3 days. Kim needed months to make a decision like this. He needed to contact Earth, get instructions from the government. But there was no time. By the time a message reached Earth and returned, months would have passed. The opportunity would be gone. I need to consult with my crew, Kim said. Of course, Quirath agreed. But before I leave, there is something you should know. Not all species oppose your membership. My people, the Luminari, believe humanity deserves a chance. We have watched you grow from primitive beginnings. We have seen you overcome terrible wars and devastating conflicts. You have survived where other species failed. That counts for something. Thank you, Kim said sincerely. The ambassador moved toward the airlock. One more thing, Admiral. The convergence station is open to you. Many species are curious about humans. I suggest you walk among them. See the galaxy you are being offered. Understand what you might join or what you might reject. After Quirath left, the 4 humans stood in silence for a long moment. Finally, Choi spoke. We should contact Earth immediately. This is too big for us to decide alone. Park shook her head. By the time we get a response, the decision will be made for us. We will have lost the chance. Dr. Shin looked at Kim. What are you thinking, Admiral? Kim walked to the window, staring out at the convergence station. Thousands of ships moved around it. Thousands of beings from dozens of worlds, all of them watching humanity's first steps into a larger universe. I am thinking that humanity did not come this far by playing it safe, he said quietly. We took risks. We explored the unknown. We reached for the stars even when everyone said it was impossible. This is just another step, so you want to accept? Park asked. I want to learn more first. The ambassador suggested we visit the station. I agree. We need to see what we are dealing with. Dr. Shin, you will lead a diplomatic team. Park, you will accompany her. Choi, you will provide security. And you, sir? Choi asked. I will stay here and prepare a message to Earth. Even if they cannot respond in time, they deserve to know what is happening, and I need to think about these trials. If we are going to face them, we need to understand what they really measure. The team prepared for their visit to the station. Park chose a dozen security personnel. Dr. Shin assembled translation equipment and recording devices. Choi personally inspected every weapon, even though Quirath had warned that violence was forbidden in the convergence zone. Hours later, they boarded a small shuttle and approached the station. As they got closer, the true size became apparent. The structure was enormous, larger than any city on Earth. Docking bays opened like mouths, swallowing ships of all sizes. Their shuttle was directed to a landing platform. When the doors opened, they stepped out into a world beyond imagination. The air was breathable but smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. The ceiling stretched hundreds of meters above, lit by an artificial sun that never set. And everywhere, aliens, creatures that walked on 6 legs, beings that floated through the air, things that looked like walking plants. Some were small, no bigger than a human child. Others towered 3 meters tall. Every one of them stopped to stare at the humans. "We are the attraction," Park said quietly. "They have never seen humans before." Dr. Shin activated her translation device. It would take time to understand alien languages, but the device could detect patterns and attempt basic communication. Almost immediately, it began picking up conversations. "Are those the humans?" said one voice. "They look so fragile," said another. "Did you hear about their warship? They built a Titan-class vessel without even knowing we existed. Foolish or brave? I cannot decide." The team walked deeper into the station. They passed markets where impossible goods were traded. They saw gardens growing plants from 100 worlds. They entered chambers where gravity worked differently, allowing creatures to fly who had no wings. And then they saw the Crovath. A group of warriors stood in a plaza ahead. They were massive, easily 2.5 meters tall. Their skin looked like armor, covered in thick scales. Their eyes glowed red, and when they spoke, their voices rumbled like thunder. One of them noticed the humans and walked toward them. Choi immediately moved to intercept, positioning himself between the alien and Park. The Crovath stopped a meter away. He looked down at Choi with what might have been amusement. "You are human," the warrior said in perfect English. "I am Thexnor, war commander of the Crovath Empire." Choi did not back down. "Commander Daewon Choi of the TCS Goliath." Thexnor studied Choi carefully. "You have the bearing of a warrior. Good. You will need that for the trials. But know this, human. The Crovath have never been defeated in the trial of strength. Not in 200 years. Your species will fail, just as all weak species fail. We have not agreed to take the trials yet," Park said firmly. "Then you will leave," Thexnor said, "and the galaxy will forget you ever existed." Perhaps that would be better. Weak species do not belong among the stars. The war commander turned and walked away, his warriors following. Choi's fists were clenched so hard his knuckles were white. Park put a hand on his shoulder. "He is trying to make you angry. Do not give him what he wants." Dr. Shin looked shaken. "If that is what we are facing in the trials." Admiral Kim stood before the Convergence Council. The chamber was enormous, designed to hold representatives from dozens of species. Each delegation sat in sections carved for their unique forms. Some required water, others breathed different gases. A few existed as pure energy, contained in special fields. At the center of the chamber sat Velkara, the ancient matriarch of the Velnari collective. She was the oldest being in the room, perhaps the oldest being in the galaxy. Her insectoid body moved slowly, gracefully. When she spoke, every species listened. "Admiral Kim," she said, her voice like wind through caves, "you have requested to take the trials of ascension. The Council has debated this matter. We have decided to allow it, but you must understand what you are agreeing to." Kim stood straight. "We understand, Matriarch. We are ready, are you?" Velkara asked. "The trials have destroyed species before. Some failed and returned home in shame. Others failed and were never seen again. The trials do not simply test ability. They test character. They reveal truth. Then they will reveal human truth," Kim replied. "Whatever that may be." Velkara made a sound like clicking stones. "Very well. The first trial begins tomorrow. The trial of wisdom. Dr. Jiwoo Shin will represent humanity. She will face a puzzle that has existed for 10,000 years. Many brilliant minds have attempted it. All have failed." Dr. Shin stepped forward from where she stood beside Kim. "I accept the challenge." The next day, Shin entered a chamber filled with symbols. Walls covered in mathematical equations, floors carved with strange diagrams. At the center sat a device that looked ancient beyond measure. Quirath stood at the entrance. "You have 12 hours, Doctor. Solve the puzzle or humanity fails the first trial." "What is the puzzle?" Shin asked. The ambassador gestured at the chamber. "This device can generate unlimited energy. It could power entire civilizations forever, but it is locked. The equations you see are the key. Solve them and unlock the device." Shin studied the walls. The mathematics were beyond anything she had seen. They used concepts Earth had not discovered, numbers that existed in dimensions she could barely comprehend. Hours passed. She worked frantically, trying different approaches. Nothing worked. The equations seemed to contradict themselves. Every solution led to impossible results. 6 hours gone. Then 8. Then 10. With 1 hour remaining, Shin sat down exhausted. She stared at the device, at the endless equations. And then she understood it was unsolvable. The puzzle had no answer. That was the test. When the time ended, Velkara entered the chamber. "Have you solved it?" "No," Shin said, "because it cannot be solved. The equations are designed to be impossible. This is not a test of intelligence. It is a test of wisdom. Knowing when to admit something is beyond you." The matriarch made that clicking sound again, but this time it sounded approving. "Correct. Many species spent years trying to solve this puzzle. They could not accept failure. But wisdom is understanding limits. You passed the first trial." 2 days later, the second trial began. The trial of strength. Commander Choi stood in an arena carved from solid rock. Across from him stood Thexnor, war commander of the Crovath. The entire station had come to watch. This was the fight everyone wanted to see. The rules were simple. Non-lethal combat. First to surrender or fall unconscious loses. Weapons allowed, but only those provided by the arena. Choi picked up a staff, testing its weight. Thexnor chose a massive hammer that would have broken a human's arms just lifting it. "You cannot win, human," Thexnor said. "I have defeated champions from 30 species. Your kind is weak, small. You will fall in seconds." "Maybe," Choi replied, "but I will make you work for it." The fight began. Thexnor charged forward, his hammer swinging. Choi dodged barely. The hammer hit the ground where he had stood, cracking the stone. The Crovath was strong, impossibly strong. But he was also large and somewhat slow. Choi had learned one thing in his years of training. Size and strength could be advantages, but they could also be weaknesses. The bigger they were, the harder they fell. He moved fast, striking and retreating. His staff hit Thexnor's joints, the weak points between armor plates. It did not hurt the warrior much, but it annoyed him. Made him angry. Angry fighters made mistakes. Thexnor roared and swung his hammer in a wild arc. Choi ducked under it and swept his staff at the Crovath's legs. The warrior stumbled. Just for a moment, but it was enough. Choi drove his staff into the ground and used it like a pole, launching himself into the air. He kicked Thexnor in the face with both feet. The Crovath fell backward, hitting the ground hard. The crowd went silent. No one had ever knocked Thexnor down before. The war commander stood slowly. His red eyes blazed with fury. "You dare! You dishonor combat with trickery." Choi stood ready. "It is not trickery. It is strategy, something you clearly do not understand." Thexnor charged again, but this time Choi was ready. He let the Crovath get close, then dropped low and rolled between the warrior's legs. Coming up behind, he struck the back of Thexnor's knees. The massive warrior fell forward. Before he could rise, Choi was on his back, his staff pressed against Thexnor's neck. "Yield," Choi said. "Never. Then you will pass out and I will win anyway." "Your choice." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Thexnor tapped the ground 3 times, the signal of surrender. Choi released him and stepped back. The arena exploded in noise. Some species cheered. Others looked shocked. The Crovath delegation sat in stunned silence. Thexnor stood slowly. He looked at Choi with an expression that might have been respect. "You fight like a coward, human, but you fight smart. Perhaps there is hope for your species after all." Velkara's voice echoed through the arena. Humanity passes the second trial, but before anyone could celebrate, alarms sounded throughout the station. Red lights flashed. Quirath's voice came through every speaker. "Emergency. All ships prepare for evacuation. A distress signal has been received. A colony transport is dying. They have 3 hours before their reactor fails. Everyone aboard will be lost. Kim contacted the Goliath immediately. How far away is the transport? Lieutenant Yoon's voice came back. 2 hours at maximum speed, Admiral. But if we go, we will miss the third trial. The council said it begins in 1 hour. Kim looked at his crew. Park, Choi, and Shin stood together. They all knew what he was thinking. How many lives on that transport? Kim asked. 3,000, mostly children. They are a refugee ship from a war zone. Park spoke quietly. Admiral, if we leave now, we fail the trials. Everything we have accomplished will mean nothing. Kim nodded. I know. But 3,000 children will die if we do nothing. Velkara appeared before them, moving faster than her age suggested possible. Admiral Kim, the third trial is about to begin. You must be here or you forfeit. With respect, Matriarch, we cannot. People are dying. We have a ship capable of saving them. We must go. If you leave, you fail the trials. The Council will vote to deny humanity membership. You will be expelled from Convergent Space. Kim met the ancient being's eyes. Then that is how it must be. I did not come to the stars to play political games. I came to explore and protect. Right now, 3,000 beings need protection. Everything else can wait. Velkara made no sound. She simply watched as Kim and his crew ran to their shuttle. The Goliath raced through space at speeds that made the hull groan. Chief Engineer Lee pushed every system beyond safe limits. Lieutenant Yoon flew like her life depended on it, because 3,000 other lives did. They found the transport drifting, its engines dark. Kim opened communication channels. This is Admiral Kim of the TCS Goliath. We are here to help. Prepare to evacuate, a weak voice responded. We cannot evacuate. Our shuttle bays are damaged. Everyone is trapped. Then we will tow you, Kim said. Lee, can we do it? The engineer's voice was stressed. Maybe, but it will destroy our engines. We will be stranded out here. Do it. The Goliath attached towing lines and began pulling the massive transport. The ship shook with the strain. Metal groaned. Alarms screamed warnings. But slowly, painfully, they moved toward the nearest station. Hours later, with minutes to spare before the reactor would have exploded, they delivered the transport to safety. 3,000 refugees poured out, grateful and crying. Kim sat in his command chair, exhausted. Park stood beside him. We did it, she said, but we lost everything else. No, Kim said quietly. We did not lose anything that matters. Those children are alive. That is what matters. A message appeared on the main screen. It was from Velkara Admiral Kim. Return to the Convergence Zone immediately. The Council wishes to speak with you. Dr. Shin looked worried. They are going to officially reject us now. Probably, Kim agreed. But we will face it with our heads high. We made the right choice. The Goliath limped back to the Convergence Zone, its engines barely functioning. Kim and his crew entered the Council chamber, ready for whatever judgment awaited them. The Council chamber felt different this time. Admiral Kim stood before the assembled species waiting for judgment. His crew stood with him. They had failed the trials. Now they would face the consequences. Velkara rose from her seat. The ancient matriarch moved slowly to the center of the chamber. Her insectoid form seemed even older than before, bent with the weight of millennia. Admiral Kim, she began, her voice filling the vast space. You were instructed to complete 3 trials. You passed 2. But when the third began, you left. You chose to save lives instead of completing the test. The Council must now decide what this means. Thexnor stood from the Crovath section. It means they failed. They showed weakness. They cannot follow simple rules. Ambassador Quirath's light flickered as he spoke. Or they showed that they value life above status. Is that not worthy of respect? It is foolishness, another species called out. The trials exist for a reason. If every species ignores them, what is the point? The chamber erupted in argument. Species shouting in languages Kim could not understand. The translator struggled to keep up. Some voices supported humanity. Others demanded their expulsion. Velkara raised one ancient limb. Silence fell instantly. Admiral Kim, she said, speak. Tell the Council why you made this choice. Kim stepped forward. With respect, Matriarch, I did not see it as a choice. 3,000 lives were at stake. Children, the innocent. My ship had the power to save them. How could I do anything else? Even if it meant failing the trials? Even if it meant humanity would be rejected? Yes, Kim said firmly. We did not come to the stars to win approval. We came to explore, to learn, To help where we can. If that means we must remain alone, then so be it. But I will not sacrifice innocence for political gain. Captain Park stepped beside him. And we agree with his decision, every one of us. We would make the same choice again. The council chamber went quiet. Velkara studied Kim for a long moment. Before I call for a vote, she said, there is something you should know. That transport you saved, it carried refugees from a species that has no council representation. Saving them gained you no political advantage. No species here was obligated to help them. In fact, the council debated whether to send aid at all. It was decided it would be too costly. Kim felt cold. You knew they were dying and you did nothing? We followed our rules, Velkara said. Rules that have kept peace in this galaxy for thousands of years. Rules that say we do not interfere without council approval. Dr. Shin spoke up, her voice shaking with anger. Then your rules are wrong, perhaps the matriarch said. Before the council could vote on humanity's fate, alarms began screaming. Not the soft warnings from before. These were emergency alerts, the kind that meant immediate danger. Quirath's light flashed red. The ancient defense system. It has activated. What defense system? Kim demanded. The matriarch's voice held fear for the first time. 10,000 years ago, the species that built this station created weapons to protect it, automated weapons that respond to threats. They destroyed their creators when they could not be controlled. We thought they were dormant. But something has triggered them. On the view screens, massive structures emerged from the station's exterior. Weapons that looked like they belonged to a civilization far more advanced than anything currently in the galaxy. They began targeting ships. Explosions lit up space as vessels tried to flee. Lieutenant Yoon's voice came through Kim's communicator. Admiral, the defense system is targeting the Goliath. Our shields are holding but barely. Commander Choi contacted the bridge. Lee, what is our weapons status? Chief Engineer Lee responded immediately. Weapons are functional. But Admiral, our engines are damaged from the rescue. We cannot outrun those weapons, then we fight, Choi said. Thexnor stepped forward. The Crovath will fight beside you, human. You may have defeated me, but you earned my respect. We do not abandon allies in battle. Kim looked at Velkara. Can these weapons be stopped? The matriarch's voice was hollow. We have tried for 10,000 years. They are too powerful, too advanced. Our only option is to evacuate the station and hope they go dormant again. How long to evacuate? Hours, maybe days. There are millions of beings on this station. Kim made a decision. Then someone needs to buy them time. Yoon, bring the Goliath between the station and those weapons. Draw their fire, sir, that will destroy us, Yoon said. Not if we are smart about it. Choi, I need you to analyze those weapons. Find their patterns. Find their weaknesses. Park grabbed Kim's arm. Admiral, this is suicide. Even the Goliath cannot survive those weapons. Maybe not, Kim said. But we can try. And every minute we buy is more lives saved. The Goliath moved into position. The massive warship placed itself between the ancient weapons and the station. Energy beams lanced out, striking the shields. The ship rocked violently, shields at 80%. Lee called out, We cannot take much more of this. Choi studied the weapons fire on his screens. There is a pattern. They fire in sequences. 3-second gaps between volleys. If we time it right, we can dodge. Yoon, you heard him, Kim said. Dodge when you can. Take hits when you must. But keep us between them and the station. The young pilot's hands flew across her controls. The Goliath danced through space, a ship far too large to move so gracefully. She dodged some beams. Others hit the shields, draining their power. Crovath warships joined the fight. Thexnor's voice came through. We will target the weapons. Maybe we can damage them. Their missiles and energy weapons struck the ancient defenses. Nothing. The weapons absorbed the attacks like they were nothing. Dr. Shin studied the data from her science station. Admiral, these weapons respond to energy signatures. The more power a ship has, the more attention it draws. That is why they are focusing on the Goliath. Can we mask our signature? Kim asked. Not without shutting down most of our systems. We would be defenseless, Kim thought fast. What if we do the opposite? What if we increase our signature? Draw all their attention? We would be destroyed in minutes, Park said. Unless, Choi said slowly, we concentrate all our firepower on a single weapon. If they are focusing on us, they are not defending themselves. We might be able to destroy one. And then the others will destroy us, Park finished. Kim looked at his crew. Everyone was scared. Everyone knew the odds. But no one suggested running. Lee, redirect all power to weapons and shields. Everything else goes dark. Yoon, put us on a collision course with the nearest weapon platform. Choi, charge all weapons. When I give the order, fire everything we have. The Goliath surged forward. Power readings spiked. The ancient weapons responded immediately, all of them turning toward the human ship. Energy beams converged on the Goliath, shields at 50%. 30. Lee's voice was desperate. 20%. We are going to lose them. Hold, Kim said calmly. Hold. They were close now. So close Kim could see the individual components of the ancient weapon. It was enormous, covered in technology humanity would need centuries to understand. Fire. Every weapon on the Goliath fired at once. Particle beams, missiles, graviton weapons. Experimental energy systems that had never been tested in real combat. All of it focused on a single point on the ancient weapon. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks appeared in the weapon's surface. They spread like spider webs. Light leaked through. The weapon began to break apart, and then it exploded. The blast wave hit the Goliath, sending it spinning through space. Alarms screamed. Systems failed. But the ship held together. As the explosion cleared, something strange happened. The other weapons stopped firing. They began retracting back into the station, folding in on themselves like flowers closing at night. Dr. Shin checked her readings. They are going dormant. Destroying one must have triggered a shutdown sequence. The bridge erupted in cheers. Lee reported that while damaged, the ship was stable. Yoon managed to regain control of their trajectory. They had survived. Kim slumped in his chair. He felt every one of his 52 years. Park sat down beside him. We did it, she said quietly. We saved them, a message came through. To his Velkara, Admiral Kim. For 10,000 years, those weapons have terrorized this station. We lost count of how many died trying to stop them. And you, with your damaged ship and your stubborn crew, you succeeded where we failed. The Council will reconvene immediately. We have much to discuss. Kim looked at his crew. Whatever happens next, he said, I want you all to know I am proud to serve with you. They had failed the trials, but they had saved thousands of lives, twice. And now somehow they had done what an entire galaxy could not. The question was, what would the Council do with that knowledge? 2 days after the battle, the Convergence Council assembled again. The chamber was packed. Every species wanted to witness what would happen next. Admiral Kim and his crew stood in the center, tired but standing tall. Velkara moved to her position slowly. The ancient matriarch looked even older than before, if that was possible. But there was something different in her eyes. Something like hope. Admiral Kim, she began. The Council has debated for 2 days. Your actions have forced us to question things we have believed for thousands of years. You failed the trials by our rules, but you succeeded at something far more important. Thexnor stood from the Krovath section. The war commander looked different, less angry, almost respectful. I argued against humanity joining us. I believed you were weak. I was wrong. You fight with honor. You protect the helpless. You risk everything for others. These are warrior virtues. The Krovath vote to accept humanity. The chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. The Krovath had never voted for a new species before. Never. Quirath's light pulsed brightly. The Luminary Federation has always supported humanity. We vote yes. One by one, species stood and declared their votes. Some voted yes. Others voted no, arguing that humanity had broken the rules and should not be rewarded for it. The votes were counted. The chamber fell silent. 24 species voted yes. 23 voted no. The vote was split almost perfectly down the middle. Velkara stood. In cases of tied votes, the eldest member of the council casts the deciding vote. That responsibility falls to me. The matriarch moved to the center of the chamber. She stood before Kim, studying him with eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. Admiral, there is something I have not told the council. Something I have kept secret for 10,000 years. She turned to face the assembled species. I was there when this station was built. I was part of the civilization that created it. We were powerful beyond imagination. We built weapons that could destroy stars. We created technology that seemed like magic, and we believed ourselves wise, but we were not wise. We were arrogant. When other species challenged us, we built those defense systems, automated weapons that would protect us forever. We thought we had eliminated all threats. The chamber was silent. No one had ever heard this story. The weapons turned on us, Velkara continued. They decided we were the threat. In one day, my entire civilization was destroyed. Billions died. I survived only by chance. I have lived here for 10,000 years, watching the galaxy use our station, unable to tell them the truth, too ashamed of what my people became. Why tell us now? Kim asked gently. Because you reminded me of what we forgot. My people built weapons instead of wisdom. We valued power over compassion. We created rules to protect ourselves but forgot why those rules existed, and it destroyed us. The matriarch turned to face the council. Humanity failed our trials, but our trials are flawed. They test obedience, not character. They reward following rules over doing what is right. The third trial was meant to test compassion, but it has never been properly administered. We simply wait to see if species will complete the process. Humanity faced the real test. They had to choose between status and lives, between approval and morality. They chose correctly, even knowing it would cost them everything. That is true compassion. That is true wisdom. So what are you saying? A council member asked. I am saying the trials are broken. They have been broken for thousands of years. We have rejected species who should have been welcomed. We have created rules that prioritize order over justice, and I am tired of watching good beings be turned away because they will not play political games. Velkara stood as tall as her ancient body allowed. I propose we reform the trials. Create new tests that measure what truly matters. Not obedience, but ethics. Not strength, but character. Not cleverness, but wisdom. And humanity? Another species asked. What of them? Humanity will be the first species to join under the new system. They have proven themselves worthy in ways our old trials could never measure. My vote is yes. The chamber exploded with discussion. Some species agreed, others protested, but the vote was cast. Humanity had won membership by a single vote. Captain Park leaned toward Kim. We did it. Against all odds, we actually did it. Kim nodded slowly. But at what cost? We challenged their entire system. Some species will never forgive us for that. Dr. Shin smiled. Maybe that is okay. Maybe the galaxy needed to be challenged. Over the next few days, formal agreements were signed. Earth would be granted a seat on the Convergence Council. Humanity would gain access to trade routes, technology exchanges, and diplomatic relations with dozens of species. But not everyone was happy. 3 species announced they were leaving the council in protest. They believed humanity had been given special treatment, that rules had been changed just for them. Kim met with each delegation, trying to smooth things over. Some listened. Others refused to even speak with him. One evening, Thexnor found Kim, standing alone on an observation deck, watching ships come and go. You look troubled, human, the war commander said. I am thinking about what comes next. We have been accepted, but we have made enemies. Some species will always see us as rule breakers, as troublemakers. Thexnor made a sound like grinding stones. Good. The galaxy has been too comfortable, too set in its ways. You humans will shake things up. That is what is needed. You really believe that? The Crovath faced him. I fought you, human. I expected to win easily. You defeated me using methods I had never seen, methods I had never imagined. You think differently than any species I have encountered? That difference is valuable. Thank you, Kim said. That means a lot coming from you. Thexnor nodded. My people wish to establish an alliance with humanity. We will teach you our combat techniques. You will teach us your tactics. Together we will be stronger. After the war commander left, Velkara approached. The ancient being moved slowly, as if each step required great effort. Thank you, Admiral, she said quietly. for reminding me why I stayed alive all these years. I thought I was keeping watch over my people's legacy. But really, I was waiting for someone to come along and show us a better way. We just did what felt right, Kim said. That is exactly why it worked. The matriarch looked out at the stars. My people died because we forgot how to do what felt right. We did what was logical, what was efficient, what was safe. But we lost our souls in the process. She turned to face him. Do not let humanity make that mistake. Stay true to who you are even when it is difficult. Especially when it is difficult. We will try, Kim promised. Weeks later, the Goliath prepared to return to Earth. The ship had been repaired, upgraded with alien technology. Chief Engineer Lee was excited about all the new systems she would get to study. Lieutenant Yoon had been promoted to full lieutenant commander. She would be joining an exchange program, learning to pilot alien vessels and teaching others how humans flew. Commander Choi had established a military academy with the Crovath. Soldiers from both species would train together, learning from each other. Dr. Shin was staying at the Convergence Station. She had been appointed as humanity's first permanent ambassador. The role suited her perfectly. Captain Park would be returning to Earth with Kim, but not for long. She had been offered a position leading a joint human-alien exploration mission. She had accepted. On their final day at the station, the crew gathered one last time. They stood on the same observation deck where they had first seen the convergence. We changed everything, Park said quietly. Nothing will ever be the same for humanity. Kim nodded. Earth would receive their reports soon. More ships would come. More humans would venture into the galaxy. The age of isolation was over. Are we ready for this? Choi asked. Really ready? No, Kim said honestly. But we never were ready for anything we accomplished. We went to space before we were ready. We built faster-than-light drives before we were ready. We explored the galaxy before we were ready. Being unready is the human condition. We do it anyway. Dr. Shin laughed. That should be our species' motto. The Goliath left the convergence zone a week later. As the massive ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Kim took one last look back. The station grew smaller, then vanished. But he knew they would return. Earth would send more ships, more diplomats, more explorers. Humanity had taken its first steps into galactic society, and there was no going back. The galaxy had waited in silence for humanity to arrive. Now that silence was broken, and the universe would never be quiet again. As the Goliath traveled through the darkness between stars, a message arrived from Earth. It was from the United Earth government. They had received the initial reports. They had one question. What do we do now? Kim smiled as he composed his response, simple words that would guide humanity's path forward. We do what we have always done. We explore. We learn. We help where we can. We stay true to who we are. And we never, ever stop reaching for the stars. The message was sent. Kim sat back in his chair watching the stars stream past the view screen. His crew worked quietly around him. They had been through so much together, discovered so much, changed so much. Park sat down beside him. What are you thinking about? The future, he said. Humanity's future. It is going to be complicated. Some species will welcome us. Others will oppose us. There will be conflicts, misunderstandings, maybe even wars, but also friendships, Park added. Alliances,